Hi, back, and this time we're doing a Ask a Scientist. I was worried about people being shy about putting up tough questions. I guess I shouldn't have worried. We've actually got four to do so far. Some of them I actually had to say no to because they were just nonsensical. But I'm going to do these individually. And furthermore, this is going to be an Ask a Psychologist segment. It's our first one, really good. Um, So, to get it out of the way, this is brought to you by ExoticEnvy.com. It's lowest prices on all adult toys. If you're over 18, go buy something so they can continue to support us. And since this is an Ask the Psychologist section, I did want to point out that I am available to work as a life coach. I'm not actually working as a therapist right now because I don't like the format. But that's neither here nor there. What we're going to do is we're going to cover a question that was sent in by Katie. Very straightforward and a lot bigger than I think she realizes. Katie was asking what is the best way for a person to get over an ingrained fear of commitment. Now, she points out that the question is in particular about coming from a situation where she feels that situation may have been dysfunctional. Um, with that, you have to remember that you're not asking a question about love. You're asking a question about fear. Uh, and no one has a fear of commitment in and of itself. You have a fear of something that will happen with it. And what you need to do is you need to find out what that fear is. Is it that you'll be taken advantage of? Is it that you'll be mistreated? Is it that you'll be disregarded? That you'll become less important? Some people are afraid that they'll be hooked up with somebody and committed to them when something better comes along. But in any case, once you give that some serious thought and get an idea of what it is that you're afraid will happen, you can start to think about how to kick that situation away. And this is the part that really is important, and not a lot of people find out about this unless they've been to therapy um, or studied therapy. Your relationship is one of the few areas in your life where you have total say in how it works and what goes on in it. It's really important to keep that in mind. If you're very afraid of something in particular, you can sit down with someone when forming a relationship with them and going, "Look, this is really important to me. We need to never do this." Um, Going on that basis, I'd say the general answer is to think about what it is that establishes that fear and makes you afraid, and just open up lines of communication on it. And it's going to feel silly initially because the 9 out of 10 times people are going to think that that problem is related to them. Uh, it's not. It's actually related to your fear, which is based on what you think will happen, either because of past experiences on your behalf, or if it's coming from a dysfunctional family, like you pointed out, it's probably more like something that you've seen. Um, when you're going through and you're growing up, you define what it is that things should be by what you see. That's why children pick up mannerisms, phrases, accents, everything when they're in their formative years. Uh, but it's something that can be overcome. Everybody has fears involved with a relationship, whether they want to admit it or not, even if it's a fear of not being in one. And a lot of times you just have to look at yourself and say, what is my ideal? And don't just go being with someone who cares about me because you're talking about the other person at that point. You're talking about this mysterious figure. You need to think about what it means to you. Is the key thing to be loved, to be accepted, um, to have someone who will push you to help you develop? There are some people who like to have a certain responsibility and or lack of responsibility in relationships. And to be honest, there's no wrong answer as long as everything is consensual. And I really believe that with enough open communication, you can actually get just about anything you want. Um, a lot of times there's a lot of guilt involved with bringing things up like, this has nothing to do with you, but I'm really scared of getting into a serious relationship. Don't be ashamed. Um, Basically, more people walk by things that would make them happy because they're ashamed, they're afraid, or they just have decided, well, that person's out of my league. The thing that I've found out, and I have dated outside of my league before, is that the people who are outside of your league are just as screwed up as you are. Literally, I believe that people have a misconception about the fear of relationships in that it's a fear of commitment, it's a fear of committing yourself. And the fear is actually of the effect that you've seen in other people. If you're afraid of being cheated on, well, make it quite clear this will hurt me. And if the person genuinely cares about you, that'll make perfect sense. If they ask you why, try to tell them. Let them know. And if you can't lay yourself that bare with someone that you're thinking about a relationship with, then maybe you shouldn't be in a relationship with them. Um, there are there are points that you have that you have to have it be met. And that's the first part of it is to set that expectation and to say, hey, you know what, this is really important to me. I'd really rather you never do this. And it could be anything from a phrase to a situation to something that you just find mind-bendingly awful. And what you'll often find out is they have a list too. And the thing that people really don't understand is that list is going to change because you're not afraid of the same thing forever. Another detail is to keep an open mind about how fixable things are. In terms of relationships, there are so many divisions, and people are so worried about sounding crazy when they go, I'd prefer us be unconventional in this way. And with being unconventional, the reason I use that word is because people like to use the word strange, deviant, um, immoral. Take your pick. The thing is in psychology, everyone is insane. Well, insane's not really used anymore, but everyone's got issues. Everyone's got problems that they have, associated fears that they probably shouldn't have, and everybody can benefit from talking to someone about them. Uh, the key to remember is that the people who need help the most are the ones who have problems that make them not fit in with our social structure. Um, and that's important. A good example would be putting your hands on somebody. If you have a compulsion to just punch somebody, then you have a problem that needs to be addressed. Now, I do need to state this. In terms of any fear that you have, it's no one's fault. 9 out of 10 times, if you give me a fear, I can walk you through exactly why it's perfectly reasonable for you to have that. But the thing is it's not reasonable for the situation you're in now. It's logical based on what you've seen and what you've experienced. The point you have to remember that this is you didn't walk out to a field in the middle of the night and go, God, aliens, Wicca, nature, whatever, give me a disease, give me a brain imbalance, give me a fear, give me something that is going to test my will and make me feel alone at all times. You didn't do it. You didn't ask for it. It just happened. Now, is it your responsibility? Yeah. Yeah, it is. And the first step to it is saying, look, I really care about this person, and I'm going to tell them that these are the things that would hurt my feelings. These are the things I'm afraid of. And the point of that is not only do you get the benefit of sharing that and getting help and overcoming it from someone who cares, but it'll also breed some understanding if you start to go off the deep end. Um, if you're afraid of infidelity and they start working really late and not wanting to call you, and you get upset about why didn't you text me, okay, right off the bat, they'll probably understand that you're not trying to be manipulative, you're not trying to be controlling, you're afraid. And most people who care about you, as long as you're putting in that effort, will try to give you some comfort. They'll try to meet you halfway. Oh, well, I'm sorry. I'll text you more often when I have to work. I don't want you to worry. Those are the things that you need to seek out. And if people aren't interested in helping you with your fears and your worries, then they aren't interested in being in a relationship with you. You need to understand that you have value, um, and that's something that carries over. Another point is you're not where you come from. You're not what you've seen in other people. You are a unique individual, and you need to understand that you have a right to talk to your partner. You have a responsibility to talk to your partner. And in the end, you can define exactly what it is that you would be comfortable with, and then start seeking out the people who fit that category. Um, so it's more complex and it's a lot more simple at the same time. But in this particular case, I would say that in a majority of the cases, communication is key. Self-exploration is very key, and it's something that can be overcome and is overcome every day. So it's definitely something you can work on. And just remember that you're not playing games with this. Because if you were playing games, you'd go over and get adult toys from exoticenvy.com. They're our sponsors, and please God, buy a lot of stuff. We don't have a lot of cost or overhead here, but new things would be nice. Anyway, we've got a few more to do. I'm debating about doing more than just this one today. But Katie, if that answers your question, definitely, you know, be happy with it. If you have more questions or want to expound on that, just go ahead and shoot me another message. And again, anytime anybody wants to send me a question on Ask a Scientist, a Psychologist, a C2 Gamer, whatever, just go ahead and shoot me a message, and I'll be more than happy to try to get to it. Um, Make sure to let me know if you mind me mentioning your name or not. That's kind of important. Uh, but yeah, that was Katie's questions, and I hope y'all have a great day.